What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy JSpencetheKing, and I am here with the big O. Y'all know who the big O is. Mr. Jerry Ostroski is joining me today because Joe Miller can't join us. So you know what? Let me rewind
Hey,
because
man.
it's the Overreaction show powered by Believe. I got to get that in there. What's up, big O?
What's up, Spence, man? Been a long time.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you. I ran through the intro too fast, but man, it's a week to talk. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. We don't need to waste time with pleasantries, man. We got a little bit to talk about.
We do. I'll tell you where we start off. Everybody saw, if you're watching this live, you saw at the top of this where we had the big baller Bing graphic. And so let's just start there, man. A lot of Bills Mafia, a lot of former players, a lot of analysts were all critical of the Bills this season. Only when it comes to some of the moves being made during the offseason, or the lack of moves made, because it looks like the wide receiver room just wasn't up to par with kind of the talent you would want to surround Josh Allen with. Big baller Bean went out and he went and got Amari Cooper on a heck of a deal, a cheap contract. I think it's like $900,000 for the year or $800,000 for the year. He gave up a third and a fifth, and or six, I think, or something like that. And we got a fifth back with him, and I just think it's an incredible move. To start off, what are your thoughts?
I mean, obviously, this player fits everything perfectly. I mean, you talk about a team that's got cap issues. You go out and get a guy like Amari Cooper, a 10-year vet in this league, a proven commodity, a guy that is a leader in that position. You know, he's been with the Raiders, the Cowboys, and obviously a short stint in Cleveland. And I know he was probably happy to drive up what is that, 90 up to Buffalo, man, hook it north and go 90 through Erie on the way up to Buffalo. But no, man, it's a guy that comes in, brings instant credibility, leadership to a room that probably needs a little bit of leadership, but a guy that also gives us a weapon in those areas where we are lacking. Man, exciting stuff for the Bills.
Yeah, he's a big time. So I know, like, in certain circles, he's underrated in a sense,
right?
But I think that's because he's one of those wide receivers that, in my in my experience, he's rare. Meaning, he doesn't speak a lot. He doesn't make a lot of noise. You don't get a lot of quotes from him, or you don't see a lot of things just brought up in the media about anything, because he's a super quiet guy. And one of the things that I like about that, I'm not going to go the route that obviously everybody wants to take, but the thing that I like about that is this year it seems like, besides Dion, and we're going to talk about Dion a little later, it seems like the Bills as a whole kind of want to stay out the news. We want to stay out in news cycles. We don't want them to talk about anything other than the actual game.
Right.
And it seems like this guy fits that. As far as culture, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, as far as culture, I feel like it's even more of a slam dunk, because they were able to be consistent with what they said, at least what they preached over the offseason. Do you see that the same way? Or because I see it, I really see it as like one of those uncanny, it just seems like a perfect fit.
No, I think so too. And I think the biggest thing is that we understand who the alpha is in the room when it comes to the offense for the Buffalo Bills, and that's the guy that wears 17, right? We had two alphas for the last couple of years, and obviously that didn't work. It was something that was uncomfortable, and something that the Bills felt they were willing to take an over $30 million cap hit in dead money to fix and to rectify, right? So now you bring in a guy like Cooper, and, one thing about Cooper is he's not verbal as far as, complaining and things like that. He will get a little disenchantized with some things, down in Dallas. He got a little bit that way before they moved him to Cleveland, but he's not a problem guy. He's a guy that comes in, and, we're talking about the 4th overall pick when he came out from Alabama. Okay. This is a dude that can flat play. Now, granted, he's got double digits next to his name, right? He's got 10 years under his belt, but I don't think that young learning burner is what we need right now. It's a guy that understands how to run routes in the NFL and get open, and that's what he does.
And that's the key. I think I saw a metric somewhere, and if I'm probably quoting this wrong, so don't kill me in the comments. And then also, if you're listening to this by podcast on Believe, please do not kill me about the actual number. But I thought I saw that he's like one of the league leaders as far as like 2.7 yards of separation or something. Like it was a certain metric that I saw, and I think it was like 2.7 on average for him. And for me, when you think about how dominant our offensive line has been this year, and then you think about the type of what we've seen out of Josh for his career, and then especially this season. So Monday night, we saw Josh Allen be able to extend the play a little bit and make a big play to Davis, or make a big play and get a pass interference to Kincaid or whatever. Those things matter. So you
Right.
get a receiver like him who can create that separation and get open. It's going to be a dangerous combination for any defense that's going to come up against the Buffalo Bills for the rest of the year.
Exactly, and I looked at his 2023 numbers, and granted, I'm washing this year's numbers compared to what's, considering what's going on in Cleveland. And then last year they even had just multiple quarterbacks and issues. But if you look at his numbers last year, he was still a top 20 receiver in the NFL. PFF had him, I think, with an overall grade of he was over 80%, which was really good. He had his least amount of separation yards last year. He averaged 2.2 yards per route in separation, which is still pretty good, and that was his least amount. But the thing that excites me, if you look at his 23 numbers, Spence, 8 of 13 from 20 plus, 358 yards, 2 touchdowns. 10 plus, 29 of 54, 472 yards, 2 touchdowns. The guy gets downfield and knows how to get open past that 10, 15, 20-yard mark. That is what we need right now. And it'll really, really be interesting to see when he finally does suit up and gets comfortable with things and gets running, the things that Joe Brady calls, just how much of a coverage presence he demands from the other team. Do they try to double him and take him away? We know that he's a very good man route runner. He's a guy that wins in man, and that's something that we need on this team right now. So when you just look at 23 in a nutshell, all the things right now that room needs, he brings with him from Cleveland to Buffalo.
Yeah, and I love everything. Like, there's things to not like. So, for instance, when the trade happened, I mentioned this year he has looked, little. To me, he looked either less interested or he looked annoyed to be there. And now, obviously, after the trade, there are a bunch of reports that come out that says, he wasn't, in a good place with Deshaun Watson. You mentioned the numbers from last year are better. He had a better quarterback throwing it to him. He had Joe Flacco throwing the ball instead of Deshaun Watson. So I think, when you saw him with elite quarterback play or above average quarterback play, down in Dallas, I think that's what earned him his contract in Cleveland. And so with that being the case, man, I'm excited about it. Let's a little before we kind of move forward with like the next game and all that other stuff. Let's kind of talk about this game that we just saw Monday. Ray Davis, what I mean, it wasn't necessarily a surprise to me. I was waiting for this guy to get a chance.
Right.
Everybody's been talking about him, but I've been waiting for him to get a shot. Wow. What are your reaction, or what is your reaction from Monday?
I mean, he was everything he was advertised to be, right? It's just amazing how, with this climate of the NFL and the emphasis put upon wide receiver right now, that a guy like Ray Davis could fall to the 4th round. And the fact he's still sitting there for the Buffalo Bills. Dynamic runner. I know he's not big, but he's powerful, thick lower body. I was like you, Spence, man. I've been waiting for games now. I wanted to see this guy get the ball, and I was afraid that we were going to fall into this McDermott trap of, let's not rush the rookies. Maybe he put the ball on the ground a little bit in the preseason. Let's ease him in. Because of injury, they had to do it. And man, I mean, just tremendous runner. And then what he brings to the table running routes, big time for the Bills.
And see, I love that because now I love James Cook, love Jimmy. Don't take this wrong, Bills Mafia, but he drops a lot. Like, maybe a lot would be a stretch, but it seems like often over the last season and a half, there's just multiple moments of touchdown drops, not just a regular drop, but like a touchdown. And I think now to have a Ray Davis who seems like, he can really be a weapon out there. I see in the comments, Ralph says that Davis kind of reminds him of Travis Henry. I like the comparison, but I think that he's a little bit better. I don't want to say better because Travis was Travis, so I'm not. Right. But I think his profile will say that he's going to be a better receiver than Travis was, and that makes me excited.
Right, he's more of a receiver like Thurman. But if you want to know what he's about in a nutshell, just watch the scramble play out of the end zone when Josh throws the thing on a beat at 30 yards. What receiver is running down the middle of the field, altering routes like that, calling for the ball, and then makes the play? I mean, it just shows how much of an awareness he has in the passing game and spacing and all those things. Of a young kid like that, a rookie, is able to ad lib a route on scramble, get in the scramble route scene, and make that big play. Man, I mean, this is, I think, why he was drafted. I mean, yes, he can run the ball, but we know the Bills really want to add an emphasis of the running back catching the ball out of the backfield, and that's what he brings to the table.
I love it, man. He runs again. There's a lot to say good about James Cook. Like I wasn't happy that he was injured. So, I think James Cook, and if they know how to do it right, the combination of Cook and Davis together can be really dangerous. But I think that I'm just, after seeing it for that one game, I'm just excited about it because, like you mentioned, like it's kind of like you wait for the game. This year we don't have like the big receiver or the wide receiver too that will have the game of like 150 yards, like Gabe last year against the Steelers. We're not going to get that game of 150 yards and 2 touchdowns out of these guys yet. So with that being the case, to get a big game out of your running back room like that, it just, I love old school smash mouth. Give your running back the ball and let's see what happens. And I love that. So,
well, the thing about it too was it wasn't like the Bills were scheming up a bunch of exotic run stuff.
No,
I mean, they were running inside zone. They were doubling 2 guys inside, and they were changing the line of scrimmage and letting Davis get downhill. And Amanda brings up a good point over in the comments, Spence. She says that Ray runs through stuff where Cook does a shimmy. Cook is kind of your quintessential zone runner. He's patient. He waits. He'll cut back behind the backside guard. He really sees things. And Ray is a guy that brings his own block with him. I mean, he's more like I don't know if you remember, he runs a little bit more like an Antoine Smith than, say, a true zone runner. But I haven't dug into his statistics yet as far as advanced analytics. I will probably a little bit later, as well as look at the all 22. But his run after contact numbers have to be pretty good from Monday night.
I mean, they have to be amazing, and I just should have looked up some more stats because I knew we were going to talk about them. But I guess for me, it's more so the just overall, like you mentioned Amanda's comment that he runs through where Cook does a shimmy. The other thing I love about it, you being an offensive lineman, the dominance of the line, man. Like there were so many plays. Have you had a chance to watch the all 22 back or?
No, I'm going to watch it a little bit tonight, and I'll watch it tomorrow before we head into Thursday's show. But just seeing what I saw Monday night, I mean, it was a physically dominant performance by those 5 guys up front.
It was literally, I probably couldn't even, I don't even want to make up a number to count. There were so many plays where the offensive line gifted him like 3 yards. And I mean, like they just bullied the defensive line of the Jets and was like, okay, we're getting 5 yards here, or we're getting a first down here. Like it's happening. So I just love that.
It helped that CJ Mosley didn't play, but I don't know how much of a difference that made if he did play.
Yeah, it absolutely helps when one of your best defenders is out. But speaking of that offensive line, man, let's talk a little bit about Dion. This guy, obviously, everybody loves Dion, but does it get to a point? So, as a former player, let me ask it this way: as a former player, I understand that smack talking on the field, and I understand rivalry, within the division, and I get it, but does it go too far? So I guess I'm asking, was Monday too much, or is that just like, it's like, no, it's just part of the game. It's a conference or it's a division rival. It just is whatever.
Well, I think, Spence, a lot of it has to do when we used to do this, and I don't think people really realize that you can look at the officials list before the game starts and see who's out there, and you start seeing familiar faces and familiar names, and what you can get away with by who is the officiating crew.
I got you.
Obviously, this officiating crew didn't let anybody get away with anything, plus made stuff up. So, I think what Dion did coming out of the huddle at the change of the quarter, I didn't see it. I don't think it's that big of an idea. I laugh though because this whole thing reminds me of that old Chappelle skit when keeping it real goes wrong. Sometimes Dion needs to, you're right, he needs to settle down. But I like that. I mean, that's what you're taught to do as a group up front. The Spencer Brown penalty when he did the 3-yard swanton bomb, and we used to do that all the time. And if you didn't do that, you used to get ridiculed in film for not finishing your block. That's how so you heard Spencer after the game say, that's what I was taught to do. So no, I don't have any problem with it. Obviously, Dion's got a massive grudge with this dude. And you know what? The thing I love about Dion is this. He talks it, he walks it, he doesn't pull anything back.
Yeah.
There's none of this whatever, and then after the game they're hugging it up. This is real stuff. And he says what he says, he does what he does. And I think that he's at the point where he's got enough confidence where, man, if something happens, okay, we'll get it back. We'll figure out how to get it done. And that's what they do. And believe me, the other players on that team feed off that. Now, you don't want it to happen in a real critical situation, but no, I don't think it's too much. I think it's kind of refreshing actually in a league that's trying, Dion's a dog, and this league's trying to neuter all dogs right now. And I'm glad.
And I guess that's where I was going to go with it. I know I'm not a good example. I know a lot of times people get mad about the example I said, but the thing that I love about what Dion is doing, to me, it's not as far back, but this is like one of the first time as a Bills fan that I see guys on the field really not like another player on the team.
Right.
Whereas, like before growing up, obviously I remember seeing the Dolphins players and like I remember exactly what the energy was. We haven't seen that for quite some time.
Mm-mm.
I like that. So again, I don't want the 15-yard penalties. I don't want but hey, I like that because what that tells me is that this isn't just about a check for them. These are division games, and I don't like you. So to me, that I can't be mad at Dion about that. But I will tell you, he probably needs to kind of chill with the Griselda stuff. Like he's a little, and I ain't saying that as a diss. I'm saying it as like, dude, this is the NFL. You got a little bit of it. You got to kind of dial back. I love Dion, man. I love Dion.
And one of my favorite offensive lines of all time was the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s when Eric Williams and Tune, those dudes were doing that every other play. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Now, obviously, like I said earlier, you hope it doesn't happen in a critical situation, but it's awesome to see dudes out there going after it, and one of their own falls down or something happens, and there's 5, 6, 7, 8 guys over there ready to get them up off the ground or fight for the dude. I mean, that's what you want to see. The last thing you want to see is one of your players get blasted out of bounds and everybody just turn around and walk back to the huddle like whatever. It's a different attitude, man. It's good stuff.
I love it. Like everything about it, I love it, and I hope that they find that energy somewhere from Miami. I know that the Patriots aren't as good this year, but I hope that they find that energy deep down somewhere for the Patriots. I saw the other day, it ticked me. Like, I mean, it really bugged me to see so many Bills fans. I understand, like we're all emotionally distraught over losing Stephon Diggs. I get it. But there's just no world. There is no world that I hate Stephon Diggs more than I hate the Patriots. Like there's no world where that's a reality. And so just to see and I get it. Some people are like, well, it's about the conference and the Texans are better than. Okay, I hear you. F that. I don't like the Patriots. Like you just won't see me rooting for anybody against the Patriots. I mean, I'm not rooting for the Patriots against anybody unless they're playing like the Dolphins or they're playing, if you're going against the Jets and it's about, okay, I might root for the Patriots that day, but I really hope they both lose.
Oh, exactly. I mean, but it was also like, like this past weekend, there was nobody or the only other person more happy about the Cowboys getting the hell beat out of them besides Stephen A. Smith was me. And why is that, man? I was born in Philadelphia, dude. I was born into this thing, right? And it's part of who I am. I'm a Bills fan. I play for the Bills. I bleed Bills. But the Eagles are my team too, man. I mean, that's just how it goes, dude. No, I'm with you. I don't division, whatever, man. Hell with that, dude.
Yeah,
Patriots can go get pounded every week.
I'm with you. It just bugged me, and I got some hate for that. Like, well, but listen, I'm gonna just tell you, for me, 10 toes down. You ain't gonna never see me rooting.
That's because you're like Dion, man. You walk, you talk, you talk, man. That's what you do.
That's where it is.
There ain't no hugging it out after the game.
No, ain't no hugging it out. What you thinking about this weekend coming up with the Titans coming into Buffalo?
I think that it's going to give us an opportunity to do some things. I think defensively, it's going to be a good test for us because, like we're going to talk about a little bit here. I think we're going to talk about running game and those types of things. Callahan, obviously, the young Callahan, his dad, Bill Callahan, Bill's on the staff. They want to get physical. They want to run the ball. They want to do some stuff. So it's going to help our defense to see another team like that that's not as good as the Ravens, but a team that in a style will try to pound it a little bit, because we definitely need a little bit of help on that. I mean, I don't think we'll have that hangover from a big win in New Jersey on Monday night. It's about taking care of business. I hope Cooper's playing. I don't understand why a 10-year guy would have to take this long, slow, gradual acclimation to a playbook. I mean, a go ball is a go ball. A flag is a flag. The thing he's got to learn is the intricacies of Josh Allen, right? And he only learns that by what? By playing. So hopefully we see him. But no, I think they'll be ready to go.
And let's talk about that defense, because when we talked earlier, that is one of the points that I wanted to bring up. So I mean, it's a good time now. The Titans don't have Derrick Henry anymore, thank God, right? Like,
yes,
thank God. But we've played against Derrick Henry this season, and then we went against Breece Hall, and we've gone up against other running backs that are nowhere near as good as those two, but then we still just haven't looked great against the run. And there's a lot. I'm trying to do something better this year, Big O. I'm trying to be more positive. Okay, so I'm trying to word this in a good way, but I feel like there's a lot of things that we can be happy about when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. Taylor Rapp Sunday or Monday, we'll talk about it, but Taylor Rapp was like that. He played old school football, and that's how safety is supposed to be played.
Right.
There's a lot of good things that we saw, I think, on the defensive line. I think there was some pressure on Aaron Rodgers that I didn't think we would get, but we got, and I was happy to see that. But against the run, man, what is happening right now on that defensive line where or not just the line, but the linebackers or the support from the safety position, or what is it that we're lacking this year that is making us look just so terrible against a capable back?
I think it's a threefold situation. I think it's kind of personnel driven. I don't think we've changed our scheme and how we play the run. But if you remember last year, and I know he was hurt some of it, but when we had Daquan and Jordan Phillips in the middle, we had a much more solid up the middle team, okay? We're not built to suck up a couple of blocks. I mean, we're more of an angle. We're going to take a shoulder. We're going to get upfield. So then you look at Epinesa. While I had the 2 sacks the other night, he's a liability in the run game. He's not very big. Groot plays the run. Groot's the most complete D lineman we probably have as far as pass rush and playing the run. So you look at the D line. We're not overly big. We're more speed guys upfield, cause havoc. Well, what happens with that is when you have a team that's really running zone well, you're going to get one of those offensive linemen or 2 of those offensive linemen up to the second level pretty quick. While Bernard is a slasher and makes a ton of splash plays, he's not a big guy. Williams, same thing. Not a big guy. So you don't have to necessarily just man up and just grab and wreck our linebackers. You just got to get a piece of them. You got to get a hand on them, maybe slow them up a little bit. You're going to run through arm tackles with those guys because they're not overly big. So you got that concept. And then you look at the way our safeties play. And thank you, Adam. And you can put that up there because this is going to be my major point of all of this. Very rarely in football do you have 2 safeties that played the run as well as those 2 played the run. Poyer and Micah Hyde were phenomenal.
Yeah. And
then you look at our safety group. While Rapp's a downhill guy, DeMar is not. We play him deep, and they're just not getting downhill fast enough because this stuff's hitting because lack of size with our D line, linemen getting up on our linebackers that are undersized, and then our safeties are deficient this year. It kind of all goes hand in hand, where you get some creases and you have some issues playing the run.
Yeah, you say that a whole lot nicer. I say Demaris Cheeks. You say he's deficient. I like that. I'm gonna start using that.
That's an optimist word.
No, right. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna adopt that.
Another synonym of that is lacking or lax.
We lack there. I got you. I'm gonna do better. I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. But to be honest with you, I'm happy with this season so far, man. Like if you would have told me back in July that we'd be 4-2 right now, and not only are we 4-2, but we have a 2-game lead basically on everybody in the division, and we just traded for a good receiver for the offense. I think everybody during the summer would have said, give me that 10 times out of 10.
Exactly. I mean, especially with the stretch they just had. I mean,
Mhm.
you got Baltimore, Houston, Jets Monday night, 2 prime time games. I mean, that's a lot. And now you're rolling into a little bit easier section of the schedule before it ramps back up again. But no, I'm with you. I mean, you're sitting 4-2. And here's the thing, it's not a just dominating yawn fest of a 4-2. I mean, the team's had some issues, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they've had to struggle and face adversity, and they're still 4-2. Now, Monday night, you can say, I'll use a Spence term. Their kicker was more cheeks than our kicker, so therefore we won,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, kind of morphing into that with Zerline is a proven vet, and even he has issues, right? So obviously Bass has to get better. But no, I'm with you, man. 4-2 at this point. I mean, you can't complain.
Let me before we got a couple minutes left. Before we get out of here, man, let's talk about Bass really quickly because obviously, yeah, we won. He hit the game-winning field goal, um, but he also missed an extra point. He missed. I know it was windy conditions. I know, so I get the things surrounding the
Right.
reasons why he would miss kicks. But the Buffalo Bills responded this week by bringing in several kickers. It looks like to try out. Is bringing people in to try out just like, okay, this is a nudge, like, okay, dude, get your shit together? Or is this
Yeah.
really them saying, you know what, no, let's go ahead and find somebody, we're going to put somebody on this roster, and we're going to have to, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're, in the play. Well, go ahead. I don't even want to go there. Go ahead.
No, I think, Spencer, you're 100% correct. Kickers are so weird and so fragile. You got to watch how you handle them. So what the Bills did at first was what? They gave the whole pat on the back, vote of confidence thing, right?
Hmm.
And now we're sitting at 6 games and we're having these glaring misses. And the thing about him is, I talked about this on Twitter the other day. I play a ton of golf. If I'm missing the ball right, I can score with that because I know what I need to do to adjust to that. If I'm missing the ball right and left, I have no idea. And Bass he doesn't know what the ball's going to do off his foot right now.
He
He
just
has no
missed.
confidence. And this week kind of summed it up for me, because I used to always make a joke that the reason he has problems pulling kicks to the left is because he's got that uneven eye black on, and it keeps him off balance, right?
He
Well, he didn't
doubled it
have the
up.
eye black on Monday night, and if you watch his body language, he shook, and that's a bad place for a kicker to be, and he does not know which way he's going to miss or which way the ball's coming off his foot. So, stage 2 after the "Hey man, we got you, we're all here for you" vote of confidence is you start bringing free agents in to the facility on Wednesdays, so that when you're walking from the training room to the weight room and you look out in the field in the indoor, you got these dudes kicking out there, you all of a sudden know it's real.
It
So,
has to be
you
mental,
know,
right? Like
oh,
it has.
yes, it's all mental. I mean, we've seen the guy kick. He's earned himself a $9 million contract. We know the dude can kick. So why do kickers like him then look at Zerline? I mean, why does a vet like Zerline all of a sudden can't put it through the uprights? It's mental. And that the other thing about Zerline that makes it worse is everybody wants to talk about wind. You know how many times they go into that stadium as kickers and kick? I mean, Steve Christie used to almost
Mhm.
kick exclusively inside of Ralph Wilson Stadium, inside of Hallmark, just to kick and get used to the wind. I mean, he knew what every flag did, where every breeze was coming from, what he had to do. So, yeah, it's mental. It's 100% mental.
It just bugs me because, like you said, we've seen him kick. We've seen him be great. Like the reason why he has that contract is because he made some big kicks in big games, and the team was able to trust him. And now he doesn't even trust himself, man. Like it's this is the worst that I've seen him. Hopefully he can shake it before the contract is there, so he's gonna be around.
Right.
You're not getting rid of him, but I hope that he can shake this before he's benched, and because then he'll turn into a glorified place kicker or something like that, and
Well,
that's
no,
just not what you want.
what usually happens in these situations is a guy like this has the issues and he misses too many and they have to make the move. They release him. He goes into hiding for a few months, shows back up on somebody else's team and turns into an all pro and starts kicking the ball the way he did when he made all the money. So it's just kind of the life cycle of kickers. And it's amazing when you see guys like Vinatieri and these dudes that kicked for 20 years and never had these issues, just how amazing they were.
Sarah's comment, not to debate you, Sarah, her comment that she put up there is that he's 9 for 12. She doesn't know if there are too many kickers out there that would do better. Just saying. Here's my debate to that. He's dead last in the league as a field goal, as an extra point. Like he's dead last. He's so if I feel like everybody's doing better than them, even the guy that's like one spot. So that's my only, because it's like he's just terrible right now. And Matt is in the comments and he said the one was blocked. But here's the thing: on an extra point, the trajectory of the kick, it's just so much. And I don't want to just overly blame him for things that he's doing, but what I'm saying is I've talked to kickers because I didn't understand, and there's things that he's just not doing that he normally would do, and there's kicks that he would make that he's not making. We can't keep giving excuses, Matt. We can't keep same thing. Tonight's not about McDermott. I didn't even go there. You proud of me? We didn't even go. I didn't even go there.
Well, no, I'm just looking at the comment about if you, unless you've experienced kicking field goals, it's disingenuous for anyone to say they know what's what.
Well, a lot of times, Matt, and other people, and I do it too as a fan, you speak from a place of passion, even though you might not know what you're talking about. I've spoken to kickers. And so I'm not saying this to diss Matt. I'm more so saying, like, really, wait, let me take another step back. Because I'll be honest, I don't like when players do that. Like, there's certain times when players are like, well, I would like remember when McKenzie got, like, when fans were getting on him for dropping the pass, and he's like, well, let's do some wet ball drills and see who can. No, you're the professional athlete. Like, you are we're fans. It is okay for us to have opinions about a public, international, famous sport. Like, it's okay.
But my thing is this. I had to snap a ball. I had to go right. I had to go left. I had to pass block. I had to run block. I do all this stuff. They're there to kick. So if they miss kicks, then they should get criticism, because that's their job, is to kick the ball through the uprights. The way the league's going, and guys that are hitting 59, 60-yard field goals, like, anymore, it's kind of like asking somebody, where do you get good wings in Buffalo? Don't tell me where to get good wings. Tell me the 2 to 3 places that make wings that are terrible, right? It's just like the same thing with kicking right now. Anything over 50 yards, I freak out when somebody misses it, not when somebody hits it.
It's almost routine now at this point. Not almost, it's
right.
routine now.
It's the thing like this. And I think that we like the guy. I like the guy. He's been a very good kicker for us. Obviously, he's having issues, right? If we're having problems blocking for PAT, then that needs to be fixed. That's on the coaching staff. If it's not being fixed, they need to figure it out. But the fact of the matter is, at some point in time, these kicks are going to be an issue. So hopefully they get fixed now, instead of us having a situation. Look, we won 23-20. He puts the extra point in the kick through the uprights. We're not even sweating the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's hard to win in the league. It's really, really hard. As we saw Monday night, it's extremely hard. So, when you have the opportunity to get points on the board, you expect them to be on the board.
Well, and this is why it does fall, and then we're gonna go, I promise. But this is why it really does, to me. This is when I start to let things fall on the shoulders of Sean McDermott. Like, this is when I get upset, because, so, for instance, we're seeing this whole thing with Bass, right? And I get your first point where you said the team has to stick with them at first and have that vote of confidence. Okay, so now we're seeing the team bring in people, and we're seeing them do. But I mean, we've seen him do that. We've seen McDermott do something similarly in the playoffs where we didn't have a healthy punter. You make the decision to get a punter. Like, if he's either not performing or he can't perform, you make the decision to do that. And I just think, so for instance, I get yelled at all the time about talking about how dumb I think the Damar Hamlin fake punt was. But the thing is, if you had a healthy punter in that situation, there's no way in hell on your own 35-yard line you're running a fake punt with Damar Hamlin against the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like, that just doesn't happen. And it wouldn't happen. These are the things that I'm talking about. Before the game, you're making bad coaching decisions when you decide to release Matt Hawk instead of, I don't know, but okay.
By the way, in the comments, we've gotten the statistics of every kicker in the league. We're not going to tell. Nobody's going to tell me how many of those were over 50. Nobody's going to tell me how many of those were whatever. But we're going to tell me how many who is making what.
2 of those for Justin Tucker, I can tell you right now, we're over 50. So, but and that's fine. I understand that people want to take up for our players. I get why. I'm just at the point to a fan where, when you spend so much, I'm not in Buffalo, so I know how much money y'all spending in Buffalo to go to the games. But then when you're traveling and you're really spending money to go to these games, it's a whole different level of beast. And your level of investment, you get really. So to me, I'm not going to make excuses.
But I'm also going to say this: Yeah, I'm going to say this too, Spence, and I think you would agree with this. Take his preseason numbers, which
Add
everybody
those.
freaked out about.
Add
Take his
those
preseason numbers and add those too.
because those are
And then
still
come at
kicks.
me. It's an issue.
It was an issue in training camp. It was reported all throughout training camp how many kicks that he was missing almost on a daily basis. Then you talk about the preseason games. Now you're talking about in-season games. You're talking about extra points. Who misses extra points in these? Okay, we're gonna get out of here. Big O, you got you got what you got coming up this week? I know first of all, Overreaction Network powered by Believe has been killing it. And if y'all not plugged in, make sure you get plugged in. What you got going on this week, Big O?
Well, first of all, I'm laughing because you have a complete opportunity to take on this whole joint about this kicking thing, and you are, man. You're going freaking Buddhist monk on me, man. You're going pacifist. I don't know what to think.
No,
I
the
did some
thing is,
push-ups before we came on the air, man. I got my blood going. I was ready to roll.
listen, I'm really trying to be more positive. I'm trying because I got told this year how negative I was being. I got told that I got told like 5 times that I'm not even a real Bills fan. People are starting to question my allegiance to the Buffalo Bills. And like, it's just all of this stuff. They're questioning and questioning and questioning. And I don't, so I'm being positive.
Like my man Jules said in Pulp Fiction. Normally this would mean a cap in your ass, but I'm trying to be the shepherd, Ringo.
It's tough. It's tough. But
No,
I got you in my ear. I got Joe in my ear. Y'all keeping you on the right path. But go ahead.
No,
what we got going this week?
Thursday night, we got the Big O show. Obviously, tomorrow night, we'll talk about this Tennessee game coming up. We'll get into a little bit of breakdown. We'll talk a little bit about the Monday night game, just some things off of the All-22. But we, as always, we got Dr. Brad Bowen on with us from Driven Physical Therapy and Performance. We'll talk about the injury report, which, from what I understand, has gotten pretty small pretty quick, which is good news for the Bills. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the upcoming game and get ready for finally, man. Damn, a Sunday afternoon game at 1 o'clock. Who'd have thought?
1 o'clock, man. I need that. I need that. I'm getting old, man. I can't be doing these. And I'm even on the West Coast, and it's still like, look, hurry up. You know what I mean? Let's end this game. So, but listen, I appreciate you taking the time this week. I know Joe is in Mexico somewhere. He's always in Mexico having a drink without us. But he'll be back with us next week. Joe, we love you, man. And but we're gonna get on out of here. And hey, if you're not busy at 9 o'clock, stick around. Me and Sterling is gonna do the chop up over on the Rumblings Network. And hey, we're gonna get on out of here. Go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.